Clap them up.
Yeah.
We thank God for these intimate spaces where books that are about our stories, for us and by us, are still sold. They're trying to ban them all over the nation, but there's still space for them to breathe and for us to learn. So let's make sure we support this neighborhood gym, this Harlem gym, because it's necessary. Now, for the reason we are here tonight, we are here for a special man and a very, very special book. The Power to Persist is here. I think everyone got a copy tonight. Don't just put that on your bookshelf. Make sure you read that because it's full of gems and it's full of information. It helped change my life. It helped cause a shift in my life. And I'm just excited to be here. All right, let me start off with the script and the bio about the special man across from me. Brother Lamell McMorris, my big brother. Let's clap him up first before I introduce him.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
I will read his bio. Lamell J. McMorris has built a career at the intersection of business, justice, and social impact. Raised on the south side of Chicago, he went on to found Phase 2 Consulting and Greenlining Realty USA, focused on addressing redlining and community development. His work has included leadership and service with organizations including Rainbow Push Coalition, founded by Reverend Jesse Jackson, the late Reverend Jesse Jackson, the National Urban League, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, known as SCLC, and the National Action Network, which is founded by Reverend Al Sharpton, my father. He also served as national coordinator for the 2000 Redeem the Dream March on Washington, and later as executive director and COO of SCLC during Martin Luther King III's leadership. Let's clap that up.
Thank you.
He's a true, as my father, he's a true student of the Kingian and Jackson legacy. And he's a civil rights leader in his own right, and it's an honor to be his little sister. And I look up to him, so he's like my mentor. It's an honor to be in your presence, and it's an honor to be here to host this event tonight for you. This book is really powerful, and I thank you for writing it, and thank you for not hiding your voice, but sharing your gifts with the world. It's truly, truly incredible to know you since I was younger. Me and my sister had the honor to grow under you. My father, thank you for being his friend, one of his true brothers. And just clap that up in the movement. You are one of one, and thank you for continuing the legacy of Reverend Dr. Jesse Jackson as well. And your mother.
Yes.
A great thing about men, how they love their mothers is a great reflection of them. And the way that he loves and respects his mother, it should be it's honorable. It should be followed all around this nation because it's a beautiful thing. She's a beautiful woman, and it's reflected through her son. So thank you for that example.
Thank you.
Now, to his book, The Power to Persist, it's built around 8 core habits: attitude, work ethic, agility, vulnerability, network, focus, dogged determination, and faith. Tonight's discussion explores not only the book itself, but the life experiences behind it. All right, let's get into it. You want to say a few words first, or you want to jump into the questions? Let's go. Let's clap it up for our special guest of this evening, Dr. Lamell J. McMorris.
Hey, everyone. Hi, everyone. It's like church, call and response. Hey, everyone. Let me say thank you, as Ashley has done once again, though, to the owners and the leaders here at Sisters Uptown Bookstore here in Harlem. And what an honor, an actual humbling honor it is to be present here this evening in this space, in this way. This is what, ladies and gentlemen, this is what resilience looks like.
Yeah.
Sitting here in a woman-owned, black-owned woman bookstore in Harlem. As I was making my way here and I was thinking about the conversation, and I was like, well, this is resilience, to be able to keep a bookstore and a business open here in the community. Give her a big round of applause for everything that it takes to do this. Sometimes, yes, 26 years, 26 years. That's what resilience looks like. 26 years. Sometimes you don't volunteer for stuff, you like voluntold stuff. So my dear sister Ashley Sharpton didn't really have much of a choice in being the discussion leader this evening, and I want to thank you for saying yes I want to thank you and your sister and mom. Mom, happy birthday, Mom. I see you back there. Happy birthday, Mom. For being, a lot of people talk the talk, but it's good to be in a place with people who actually walk the walk. And you and your family have done that. Ashley and I, as you see, we proudly wear our National Action Network lapel pins here because we believe in the National Action Network. We believe in Reverend Al Sharpton, her father, and his leadership. And it's especially wonderful to be here in Harlem. What an honor. And I want to thank all of you because it is raining. For those of you who are watching this live, it's raining outside. Yes. So the fact that you would come here this evening and be with us in this type of discussion is remarkably humbling to me and to us. So thank you very much, everyone, for being here this evening. It really means a lot. I'm going to give her the mic so she can get this conversation started. By the way, I have no idea what she is going to ask me. I've not seen one question. And we've never engaged in this type of, now we have a lot of dialogue, but we've never engaged publicly. So we have to be kind and nice and mind our manners because there's a lot of people listening. So it's not like our typical conversation, but we're going to go ahead and get with it.
All right, let's jump into it. And this conversation is being live streamed. So if you want to share the conversation, you can. It's on Lamell's Instagram.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
All right, so you can go right there and share it. Thanks to Supreme Creative Agency and JT and TJ.
Give a hand to
let's clap them up,
JT.
and Lawrence. Thank you for that. So if you have a quick second, you can just share the live so more people can hear about this incredible book and incredible man. All right, let's jump into it. You grew up in Woodline on the south side of Chicago.
Yes.
In a community where there was struggle, violence, but extraordinary strength. Before resilience became a concept, it was survival. What did life teach you about persistence at an early age?
Oops. See, I'm clumsy. Sorry. So, Woodlawn on the south side of Chicago is not much different than where we sit here in Harlem. Very similar environments of rich culture, family, and legacy traditions on the south side of Chicago, like here in Harlem, but all the things that challenge us, right? Poverty, some element of crime, levels of inadequacy and equity around education and job and educational attainment. But as a kid, I'm looking at Marcus Al, and I'm looking at these books because when I was a child growing up in Woodlawn, we had books like this in our house. And when you see me, there's a line, and the line of our life is not always a straight line. Sometimes you have to go over here, sometimes you have to go over there. Yeah. But as I think about, I'm looking at Marcus Al, and I'm looking at these books. When I was a kid, his age, I could tell you, I knew who the governor was, I knew who the mayor was, I knew who the city council person was. And so we had these books like this, not as many books as this, but we had books. And I would take a book like this, and those old plastic cowboy men and army men, and they had the guns, and they looked like they're going to be shooting each other. I always chose one to be the president of the United States. I was the current events kid. I knew what was going on in the news. So one was the president of the United States, and the rest of the quote-unquote men were Secret Service men. And I would put the men on top of the book, and I would drive the men around, and there was a motorcade, and every piece of furniture was a building in Washington, D.C., and everyone would literally have to walk around and step around. And I share this story because part of resilience is creating a vision for your life no matter what your circumstances are, no matter what's going on around you. Part of being resilient is creating a vision and seeing things. The last habit in the book is faith, and I know we're going to get to it. But faith, my friends in this room, this, is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. I didn't know how or what form of manifestation I would end up in Washington, D.C. But as a child, Marcus Al's age, I was creating a vision for my life. And that's what it was. I was in the church. I had one hand engaged in the church, but I was the kid at the table with adults making decisions. We were leading walkouts. I was an advocate even as a young person. And that's the line. A line of resilience, a line of family, a line of faith, a line of just belief in oneself. And by the way, there has to be a cloud of witnesses, right? So I can't talk about my journey without talking about my mother. The habit that I talk about in the book, work ethic, she is the best example. My mom was always working. And then in church, you know, I was always at church. You know, I played basketball at church. Tutoring happened at church. Church happened at church. Everything happened at church. But then I was always that kid involved in what was going on. In Chicago, much like the political leaders here in New York, you talk about the history of a Dinkins, the history of a Percy Sutton here in Harlem. I was deeply moved by the first black mayor of Chicago, Harold Washington. So I was not only watching TV and looking at the president, I was very moved at what Harold Washington meant as the first black mayor of Chicago and what that meant for me as a kid. That was motivation. That was the inspiration to draw that line to everything I'm doing here. So yes, there was strife, there was temptation of gang activity, there was drug activity going on all around me. The winos used to sing on the corner. They were the best singing group ever. I mean, they tuned, but that shaped me, right? That creates the balance. And to be able to go to corporate boardrooms, I also need to be able to go back to the corner at 66 at Cottage Grove where I grew up and be able to talk to those brothers and sisters and engage. And so and this resilient journey is very much shaped by, much like Harlem, how I grew up on the south side of Chicago at Woodlawn.
All right. All right, Doc. He's a preacher, too. I don't know if y'all heard that, but I did. All right, so you talked a little bit about the balance and leadership.
Yes.
Growing up around leadership in movement spaces, many of us were taught to carry pressure silently. How do we balance strength with the vulnerability required to truly heal and grow?
I really appreciate this question. So, ladies and gentlemen, and here and listening, this habit of vulnerability is probably the one that I struggle with the most. And I would submit probably for all of us. It's not just about being a leader of your business or a leader in your community. It's about being sometimes leaders in our families. And I thought that vulnerability equaled weakness. To admit to you, I don't have all the answers. To admit to you, I'm not feeling good. To suggest, I'm scared. But in fact, I've learned that this notion of vulnerability is actually a key component of resilience. Vulnerability is not confining and constraining, it's actually liberating. So when we do and can on occasion free ourselves to admit to others around us that we don't have all the answers, that maybe I am a little concerned about what the future's gonna look like. It doesn't put a wall between you and us. It actually brings us closer together. And it's easier said than done, right? Because when you are a leader, particularly as a black male, I can't just go out on the corner here in Harlem and just start talking to brothers and say, hey man, I'm really not doing good today. Because we have to put up, there's an element of society that does suggest and put pressure on us, leaders and otherwise, that we've got to have it all together.
Right.
That we can't show, frailty and weakness and indecisiveness and concern and fear.
Yeah.
But it's our actual strength. When you can create a circle of people around you that you can trust and that you can admit that it's okay. And then we have to begin to change our language. The general question that comes up always, hey, how you doing, Ashley? And what's your immediate response? I'm fine. Maybe a little baby step is for us to consider, I'm not having a great day, but I'm managing. We don't have to tell everyone all our business, but just say, it's a struggle right now, but I'm making it through. Just that little element of vulnerability, because that is vulnerability. to admit to people that you know and don't know that you know it, because that's just the general instinct to say, I'm fine. I got it all together. Everything's all right. Let's free ourselves and then open ourselves and actually free others to do the same when we open up ourselves to be a bit more vulnerable.
Okay. So let's stay in that pocket. For someone who is feeling emotionally stuck or confused, we have people of all ages here.
Yeah.
What is one exercise or mindset shift from the book that can help them feel unstuck?
I love that question. The first habit that I talk about in the book, you'll see it, and it was intentional. Maybe as I started it, I didn't know it, but it was intentional. And is the first habit I talk about that helps us on the road to being resilient is attitude. And I was on the treadmill working out, and I was listening to a playlist that a friend of mine put together on Spotify, and it interrupted, and this guy came on, and he said, gratitude is a key component to resilience. And I was in the middle of, finishing and writing the book, and that became, think about it. When and if we wake up, not immediately focusing on the problems and the challenges of our day and the concerns, but sometimes in the middle of all that, just an ounce of gratitude. Wow. I got in the Uber on the way here, and the brother immediately said to me, I said, how you doing? He said, I'm fine. He said, man, I'm here. I'm alive.
Yes.
I'm breathing. I said, brother, but it's raining. He said, hey, so what? I'm here to experience the rain. I said, you know what? It is raining, but it's all right. We're grateful even for the rain and especially for the sun that comes in our lives. And so this habit, while it may seem overly simplistic, but this notion of starting our day with an attitude of gratitude, business owner, old, young, it doesn't really matter. It's something about, by the way, when you start your day, Ashley, with this notion and this attitude of gratitude, it's amazing the ripple effect that it has, not just on you, but everybody around you. Could you imagine what it is like to start your day every day the opposite way? You complaining, you upset, and then you go to work, or you get to the kitchen with your family, or you wake up and you go. I mean, it is like a domino effect, but you can actually reverse that dynamic with this notion of attitude, but especially this habit of just gently instituting and starting our day with a moment of gratitude. I have a friend. He is a legacy billionaire owner of a global company. If I told you the name of it and what they do, you would know exactly who he is. I was sat at dinner with him, and I was telling him about the book. And he said, Lamell, every day I get up and I take a walk of gratitude. And I said, my God, this dude, if he's a billionaire, he's a global, and even he understands the importance and the necessity before engaging with staff, before engaging with family, before engaging in business, to begin his day with this notion of gratitude. It really spoke to me. Because it let me know that even no matter how high and how low, there's something powerful about this habit of implementing this habit of daily initial, not 5 o'clock p.m., 8 a.m., 7 a.m., 6 a.m., when we wake up, of straight, pure, initial gratitude.
Let's clap that up. That was powerful. So you said the hardest principle for you to adapt was vulnerability. Which principle in the book is your favorite principle?
Oh, that's tough. And no one's ever asked me that question. I've been doing this book thing for a while. That's a good one. What is my favorite habit in the book? So if you look at the book, I start out with attitude and I end with faith, right? And in the middle is dogged determination, work ethic, focus. I have to say that faith. there's something powerful. It goes beyond our age. It goes beyond our race. It goes beyond our income status. There's something powerful of continuing to work and pursue something, even though you can't touch it, even though you can't feel it, but it's something that continues to drive you to keep pushing. That, when I think about, I bet you if I were to hand the microphone to our dear sister who owns this bookstore, I bet you she'll tell you something about faith. Amen. About what it means to try to keep a bookstore open in this era of big box bookstores and people coming at you and being in it. I bet you she could tell us something about, and it's that thing. That thing that continues to propel us no matter what we go through, no matter what we've been through. If there's anybody that understands what it means to be resilient and to grab hold of this habit of faith, it's the people who are sitting in this room and listening. We know what it means to walk by faith. We understand what it means to continue to propel, even though we can't see the end, but we keep going. And we keep pushing. And we keep fighting. That is my story. That's your story. That's your mom's story. That's your sister's story. That is ours. That is our story. I almost could have done an entire book, everybody, just on that habit. Just on, before we started, I pointed out to you that one of my favorite books to get, Samuel DeWitt Proctor, The Substance of Things Hoped For, and the Evidence of Things Not Seen, a memoir of faith and tradition and what that means. We all have this element. And sometimes, by the way, let me just say this disclaimer now. This book, you're not going to get this book and then you snap your fingers and all of a sudden, all right, I'm resilient, everything's all right, I can go back. Right. No, this is a resource. This is a reminder, because you're gonna read it and it's gonna make sense, right? I'm gonna tell you right now, there's nothing in here remarkably novel, and I'm not gonna give you anything, but this is stuff that actually is already in us and that we already represent and we're already living it. But sometimes you got to pull a book off a shelf and you've got to revisit it because you're having a day. Somebody attacked you. Somebody made you mad. Somebody disappointed you. It's a little rough outside. And there's something here that I hope in the midst of these 8 habits that'll help us keep going forward. And I submit, since you asked me, that this notion of faith is my favorite habit.
Okay, I love that. Love that. Amen goes right there, as Mother Kennedy would say. One of the habits is dogged determination. Why didn't you just call it determination? What's the difference?
I wish I had gotten these questions. You kept getting me this afternoon. I wasn't ready for it. You know, Reverend Jackson has this had this saying that, Ashley, if you came over here and knocked me down right now, that would be on you. But if you came back next week and I was still on the ground, that would be on me.
That's what Dad got that from. Got it.
This headwinds, challenges, obstacles, mountains, hurdles, rivers to cross, those are inevitable. We're going to have those. Some of us are having them right in this moment, in this second. I can't keep this book up here. Some of us are having them in this moment, in this second, right now as we sit here. But there's something that makes us continue to keep pushing, to be determined. And it is this dogged determination, even though I don't feel like getting up and going to work, even if I'm tired. It's this level of determination that is not just simple, it is a dogged. I am determined to keep going forward. I am determined that despite this mountain, despite this hurdle, despite this business challenge, despite this family challenge, I am going to keep going. It is a level, this book is not going to stay still. We're going to put this book right down here. We're going to keep moving and keep pushing. And that's what dogged determination is. And there is by the way, there are habits that I talk about, but there is a workbook both for 6th, 7th, 8th graders that we have, and for adults. Because sometimes you have to have, I didn't really want to do a book that's just rah-rah and cheer and everything's going to be all right. Like this is frankly, a movement that we're trying to unleash. This level of resurgence around what it means to pursue a resilient and live a resilient lifestyle. It is, when I was writing the book, you know how when a friend of yours gets a new car, and you never heard of the car, then all of a sudden you start to see the car everywhere, right? That's what happened as I was beginning to write this book. Literally, this concept of resilience, I don't care if I was watching CNBC or NBC or a news channel or some type of show or a sporting event, this notion of resilience kept coming up. And I submit that we have to continue to work at it. It is a constant, daily, if not hourly, struggle for us to continue to pursue on this journey of what it means to be resilient, and this level of dogged, defiant, not gonna be denied, not gonna be turned around level of determination is what I submit to consider to help us be more resilient.
Okay, 2 more questions, and then we're gonna come to Q&A. So
All right.
think about the questions that you wanna ask, Brother Lamell. All right, so there's eight habits: attitude, work ethic, agility, vulnerability, network focus, dogged determination, and faith. All of those made sense to me, but the one that stood out, and I was like, why did he include this one, was network. What does that have to do with persistence and resilience?
Thank you for this question. So, do you want to know the habit that I've gotten the most pushback from young people on? Network. Because I've told them, I was in Birmingham, Alabama last week, and I spent time with 500 students at 3 different schools, 6th, 7th, 8th, and high schoolers. And when I got to this point about network, I told them, show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. Oh, no, that's not true. That's not true. Oh, no, I'm the good one among my friends, but just because my friends, no. I said, look, if I were to look at your phone, and I actually pointed to all the adults in the room. I said, if I were to look at your phone and see the last 5 to 10 people that you either text, emailed, or called, that would tell me a lot about you. And I said, by the way, I wish I had time to spend a day with you in school today, because I submit to you that if I spent the day with you, I bet you I could tell if you get in trouble, if you're with the kids who get good grades. And then one young person pushed back some more. And I said, look, if you're down the hall with you and your friends and you all are up to no good, how am I going to be able to tell the difference between you being the good one and them being the, right? There's something about this concept of show me your friends and I'll show you your future and the people that we surround ourselves. It's not the simple, I exchange my business card with you, we exchange, but that's an overly superficial network. What I'm really talking about here is the power of building relationships. That's probably what I should have named this habit. It's really about the power and the significance of building relationships. You put me around a group of people who are billionaires or who've done great things in the community, odds are I'm going to be on that path and do that. I may not become a billionaire, or I may not be Reverend Al Sharpton, but I'm going to do some work in the community just for proximity. Just being around people, it's going to dribble off on you. It's going to rub off. They were at the high school, I pulled a janitor over. And I said, Mr. Hill. It was a janitor in one of the schools in Alabama last week. I said, Mr. Hill, if you came and hung out with me, and I did this in front of all the kids. I said, if you come and hang out with me and my billionaire friends, Mr. Hill, what do you think is going to happen to you? He said, well, I'm probably at least going to become a millionaire. I said, you got that right. Amen. Just proximity. It's something about the people that we keep around. And that goes to attitude. If you keep negative people around you, the odds are you're going to be negative. If you keep positive people around you, the odds are if you keep people around you who are engaged in the community, who are doing, if you keep people around you who are entrepreneurs and struggling to keep business alive, you're going to figure out how to start a business yourself more than likely, or figure out how to help your friend keep their business. There is power in who we keep around us and who we spend time with.
That's it.
Period.
That's it.
If you want to be on Broadway and do Tony Award winning shows, you got to hang out with people who do Tony Award winning shows, Dominique. And I challenge all of us. Achieve our goals? Are they pushing us or are they hindering us? How we start out our day, this notion of, it's all interconnected, this notion of attitude. The Rev talked about buzzers today at National Action Network.
Buzzers and eagles.
And who we give our time with and how that impacts our journey and our livelihoods. And so, yeah, it's not just about networking and exchanging cards. It's really the power of building authentic and positive relationships in our lives.
All right. Let's clap that up. That was powerful. Last question for me. So if you have questions, I don't know how you want to do this. You want them to line up or you just want us to pass the mic?
No, just pass the mic.
Okay. So you said resilience is no longer optional. It's essential. Why do you believe that message is urgent right now?
I did not know. I did not know.
Come on, Prophet.
When I started writing this book, just how relevant it would be to everything we're going through right now. Not just politically, but just basic, I need gas. I need to figure out how to pay my light bill. I need to figure out how to get from point A to point B. And then we could talk about the larger implications of this technological, quote unquote, revolution that's coming and what this technology and AI and what it means to a workforce and what it means to our communities and climate and what it means to how we pay our bills. And I did not know that if there ever was a time and a moment that we had to be reminded of who we are and who we've been and how we've made it and what resilience really means, it is now. I did not know that when I set out a couple of years ago and I started writing this book. But if there ever was a moment in time where we needed to be reminded of how we maintain and live a resilient lifestyle and a resilient journey is now.
Yes.
It's now. These are absolutely the most fragile. I don't know if you've seen this, and if you haven't, please go on social media. But I've been very amazed. We're in the season of commencement addresses. Mm-hmm. And all these commencement speakers have been getting booed by young people as they talk about what's coming with AI and technology. I've been very blown away by that. Because there's something that is not, let me just say it plainly. Young people aren't buying this. Mm-hmm. They're not buying what people are selling or what about this technology. And I think they're not buying it because they feel that not only are they not included in what's going to happen, but they actually feel like whatever is coming has implications for their ability to live a fruitful and beneficial and successful livelihood. Mm. So you just can't tell them everything's going to be okay. Yeah, they don't believe it. You have to actually give them some tools. Yeah. We've got to give young people and people right now who are struggling and questioning how they're going to, we've got to empower them. How do you make it through these times? And by the way, a people who have been through rough times are the best people equipped to show people who have not had to go through what we've been through how to survive it. But let's remind them, let's help everyone, because the real question of this book and the real question of discussions like this is not just how we become resilient individually. The real question of this book and this discussion and these times is how do we build and continue to build resilient communities? Because it's not just enough for us to become resilient. It's how do we build and sustain a resilient community? How do you tell these young people and give them the tools that they need to not just question and be scared, but to make it through and survive and thrive in this era and in this time? That's our challenge. And it's our opportunity. And this, I hope, is a contribution to that discussion and to this moment in time of where we are.
Amen. All right, guys. I can keep going, but are there any questions on the floor? And again, welcome to everyone who came in while he was speaking, while we were in dialogue. Good to see you, little Lennox. Any questions?
Is there anyone online that may have any? Are we getting anything, JT, by chance? Not yet. By the way, this is my first time going live on Instagram, so we're making history. I've never done live. I've been scared out of my mind to do it. As a matter of fact, JT had to convince. Talk about being scared of technology. JT had to convince. Hi, can you tell me your name and where you're from?
Hi, my name is Gloria Barnes. I'm actually part of the National Action Network.
Thank you for being here, Gloria.
Thank you for having me. I just want to piggyback on your discussion with AI, knowing that there is going to be a specific group of population that will be left behind. What advice would you give for us to prepare, for us all to be resistant and resilient during that time?
So one of the things that I would suggest, and I say this respectfully to you, let's not even formulate a mindset that we're going to be left behind. That's like a good first step, because I know it looks that way right now. But this technology, this moment, it can't go forward without us. No machine is going to erase the power of being in a relationship in this room like now. That's what I'm trying to let people know. Like, I know they're telling you that jobs are going to be erased, and I heard one of the technology folks, CEOs, say that jobs will be no more and people will not have to work. Now, I'm in a room full of us. If you think that we're not going to have to work going forward now and for them forevermore, that is not ever going to be the case. What I suggest is, and it really is basic, and I'm trying to do it myself. Rather than being afraid and rather than not confronting it, I'm actually trying to take time to learn and understand it, because we are going to have to engage. We're going to have to challenge organizations like the National Action Network, like the National Urban League, like the NAACP. We're going to have to challenge, but also figure out ways to empower and train and help our folks engage.
Unfortunately, there's no getting around it. But like any other revolution, quote unquote, industrial or otherwise, we got to get in it. And by the way, it's not about age. It's not about income level. We all have the ability, because all of us in this room have a phone, have access to some level of computer. We got to dig in and learn. And once we dig in and learn and make ourselves aware of it, then we can be empowered to challenge and start asking questions and figure out how we engage and to keep fighting for equity and keep fighting for balance and keep fighting for access. We have to engage. We have to engage and challenge at the same time. And I'm literally, let me be very clear, I'm literally trying to figure out how to grab a hold of this stuff right now, because you got this platform, you got that platform. Let's all just dial it up and just start digging in. Yeah. I don't care if it's Perplexity, I don't care if it's Claude, I don't care if it's Chat GPT, whatever it is, let's just dive on in and learn, because they do have tools, by the way. They do have some basic tools where you and I can literally right now leave here this evening and start banging away and just start taking some basic training lessons about it. It really is going to be that. Let's not overcomplicate it. It is a very pressing issue. It is a very serious concern, but we also have to meet the moment and engage at the same time, even while we agitate and fight for equity and parity in the middle of it. We have to take some basic steps ourselves to stay at the table.
Amen. Any other questions? You got another one? No? You got a follow-up? Lennox? You have a question? You stood up?
It's okay.
I agree with you that we must understand AI and use it.
Yes.
However, being users, us as people, we tend to be the ones who are the ones who spend the money and supply the capital. How do we prepare ourselves to no longer be just the ones that are buying, but actually the ones that are the suppliers?
So thank you for that. I'm looking at least one, and I'm not excluding you and those of us who are older, but I'm looking at least 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, what we can call young people in the room. So there is this concept of, jobs. And I don't want to poo-poo on us having jobs and working for others. But I do submit, as we sit here at Sisters Uptown Bookstore, that I do submit that there is an element of power in entrepreneurship. And I think we have to revisit this notion of not just teaching and educating our young people to pursue jobs. We have to actually equip and encourage the risk and the pursuit of entrepreneurship. What it means to actually start our own businesses, the ripple and implications for our community and ability to supply jobs, but also what the notion of entrepreneurship means just for the basic concept, not just of resilience, but power. There is power in gathering in Sisters Bookstore on a rainy 5 o'clock Saturday afternoon and even engaging in this conversation. This is what power looks like. And it actually starts right here with us. This is what power, we are sitting in one of our most powerful moments. A sister who has maintained a bookstore for 26 years. Do you understand? Do you understand the power of being able to have this kind of convening in a place like this and what this means for our community? I'm not the only one who comes here. There are other authors who convene here. There are other community conversations that convene here. It starts with basic conversations and engagement just like this. This is what power looks like. This is what resilience looks like. This is how we begin our own revolution to engage with AI and turn out a number. AI is not the only thing we're behind in, unfortunately. There's work for all of us to do. and engaged in. But this is the power of our community, and this is what it means to be resilient right here this evening in this conversation.
Yeah.
I'll let you close out.
I got one more before you close out.
Oh, okay.
So we speak a lot at the huddle. Some members are here at the huddle. We meet every week on Mondays, and we speak a lot about what's going on in current events. And I don't want to be pessimistic, but some young people don't feel that they have a need to vote, that they feel that they don't need to be a part of what's going on politically. They want to sit this out. Some people feel like the times are bleak under the Trump administration. There's a financial crisis. There's a mental health crisis. They've cut DEI. Hundreds of thousands of black men and women have lost their jobs. Basically, it's almost illegal to say diversity anywhere. Black books are being banned. That's why this is a sacred space. Everything is so many issues. Groceries are hard to buy. Gas is hard to buy. It's hard to travel. People are afraid. They're living in fear, right? You have 8 habits, 8 principles. What if that was too much? So if you have one of those young people here today that were completely pessimistic against everything, against participating, they just want to sit this one out and just say, Trump won, there's nothing to do. What would be 3 of the principles that you share that you would try to encourage them to go forward?
First of all, I submit that if and when, and Ashley, for those listening who are not familiar, Ashley does a remarkable job of leading the NAN Youth Huddle, the National Action Network Youth Huddle, and the discussions among young people and fostering that kind of conversation. So thank you for doing that. But I want to say very clearly that what you just laid out, the concerns, the challenges, and where you submit that a lot of our young people are and not wanting to get engaged, that's actually an indictment on me and those of us who know what we've been through. It really tells me, and it should tell us, that we've not done a good job of letting young people know just how they made it to this moment. That but for the sacrifice of not leaders and folks that they read about, but regular everyday men and women, and especially young people who were the subject of water hoses, who did lead the protests, who did fight for the right to vote. We have to remind them of how they made it and how we made it as a people. And we actually have to teach them that but for engagement, you can't sit out.
Right.
You can't sit back. And especially you can't sit back and then complain about, oh man, I don't have a job. Oh man, my mom is having issues with healthcare. Oh boy, how am I going to pay for school and my student loans? Oh, well, part of that is voting and getting people in office and being active and getting people who can champion the issues that you care about. And so if I were to reflect on the book and the 3 habits that you asked that I would pull out to speak directly to this generation, one, it would be, as I started with our dear sister, one is just the attitude. We actually, there's this interesting, notion that I've been hearing around what it talks about biblically. We must be transformed by the renewal of our minds. Now we hear that and it sounds really, we just need to change our mind. No. There is a deeper concept in this notion of attitude and renewing of our minds. It is a neurological function of your brain. You have to transform your brain and your thinking, and your brain and your thinking goes through the rest of your body, and it permeates your actions and the steps that you take. This is not just simple, no, it is a neurological function of the brain. This concept of attitude that I talk about is not just simply flipping a switch and everything's going to be all right. It is a total holistic transformation of how you move forward in this world. So we have to start with this concept of attitude. And then we have to, one of the habits that we've not talked about much today is this notion of focus. If there ever was a generation
that we have to wrap our arms around and understand this concept of focus. It is this, because there's so many things. Right now, I want to look at my Instagram. Right now, I want to see what's on TV. Right now, I want to turn on a laptop and go on a news site and see. There's so many things pulling at our attention, whether it's school and athletics and family concerns and work, etc. This notion of focus and how we teach and show young people how to focus, because if you try to boil the whole ocean and they're looking at every issue and looking at every crisis, that's not going to work. We have to help them parse down, okay, we may not be able to solve the AI problem right now, but let's figure out how to get you A's in school today. Right. Let's figure out how to get you through high school and the graduation today. And so we take step by baby steps, and we help people especially young people, wrap their arms around this notion of focus. And focus starts, as I talk about in the book, with taking and initiating small little steps that lead to larger steps, repeated habits day after day. And so I guess I would ask you to consider that while they take up all these issues all in one, let's try to get them to, let's start here. And then maybe if we start here, we can then figure out how to get there. And then maybe we can figure out. So it's attitude, it's focus. And then I guess by them sharing this with you in these huddles, they have exhibited the best example of what it means to be vulnerable. Because I imagine in these huddles, there's a tremendous amount of vulnerability to admit that I'm scared about my future, to even acknowledge and say it's not just a cool, egotistical, it is a fear-based response to say, well, because this guy won and because all this is happening, I'm not going to engage. That is a level of vulnerability that we've got to constantly continue to unpack. And I submit to you that you're doing the hard work to continue to pull out of them the things that they're concerned about and lay them on the table, but let's figure out how we can help them then now work through it. Right? This notion of embracing, when we got to the point of vulnerability last week when I was with the 500 young people, I was amazed at the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders who were raising their hands on this concept of vulnerability. Because I would ask the young people in the room, when you think about vulnerability, what's the first thing that you think about? This young man, couldn't have been more than 6th or 7th grade, lifted up his hand and raised his hand. He said, it's the freedom to talk to a mental health therapist and open up yourself to your therapist. Yeah, this is what our young people are dealing right now. Yes, I'm proud. And that should make all of us feel good that a young man even knew to call out the notion and the power of what it means to have a mental therapist and to have this discussion. And that's the kind of deep discussion and where we have to meet our young people right now. So if you've not had a mental health therapist join the huddle, I think it's a good idea, and I think it's time. We have to give our young people the tools to work through their problems, their concerns, their angers, their frustrations, and their fear. Vulnerability, focus, and attitude would be the 3 habits that I submit to the young people in the youth huddle that we need to wrestle with the most.
Let's clap that up. Let's clap that up. All right, if there's no more questions, we're going to close out. Again, the power to persist. We learned about the 8 habits of resilience, according to the one and only Lamell McMorris. First of all, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for writing this book. Thank you for having the audacity to write this book. If we look around today, there's many names, there's many topics of discussion that we can discuss in here. I saw Neville over here, Maya Angelou, Smokey Robinson, Richard Wright, B.B. Moore Campbell, Louis Armstrong, Jay-Z. So many people, so many authors that we know their names, and some we don't know their names, right? But the reason we know their names is because they persisted. They were resilient through something. They survived something. They decided to keep going. And that's what this book is about. It's helping you. It's keys to help you to keep going. In the beginning of the conversation, he talked about your dash. And Reverend Sharpton also talks about this. And it's not how it's not a straight line. It's up and down. Hopefully, if it's up and down, that means you're doing something. Because if it's straight, that means you're just stagnant. You're just floating along and doing nothing. But in order for it to keep going up and down, you have to do something. You have to take action. He quoted the late Reverend Dr. Jesse Jackson, saying that if someone comes and pushes you, knocks you down off your chair, that's their fault. But if you come back the next day or 2 days later and you're still on the ground, that's your fault, right? So in order to be resilient, in order for you to be persistent, you have to keep going. You have to do something. So the key to this book, why you need it, it helps to give you tips of how you should keep going. And not just waking up, that's the start. Showing up is a good start. Yeah. But showing up, there's a difference between surviving and thriving. Yeah. This will help you to thrive. Lamell, McMorris, incredible man. Yeah. Not just because he was born that way, but because he has survived and he has turned his journey into something that is admirable. He's thriving day in and day out. He said things are not always easy, it goes up and down, but he chooses every day to be the best version of himself. Yeah. With these keys, you can do the same. I'm not selling you, I'm not pitching you, it's real. Life is a choice. Every decision that we make is a choice. In order to persist, in order to be resilient, you have to choose that. Use these tips. There's no way that we can coach you in it. Apply it to how you live every day and go forward in that. The reason why we know these historical figures' names, the reason why we know their journeys is because they chose to do something, from Jesus on down to the art of this book going up there on the wall. So we have to make that choice to go further and choose better and know better. And with this, you'll know better so that you'll do better. Thank you. Make sure you get this book. Make sure you read it. Thank you again, Lamell.
Now you see why I love Ashley Sharp. Give her a big round of applause.
And thank y'all, everybody, for coming out again in this weather. And thank you to the owner of this bookstore for letting us do this here today.
Yes. Thank you. All right, sis. You did it.
Good time.
I'm going to